The Blind Journey. It was 3 in the afternoon, and the Californian sun shined brightly through the light blue and white curtains of her bedroom. Her bed was neatly made with every crease perfectly pressed, as it was her daily routine to maintain a clean home. This day was different from the rest, as it was the last day she would physically reside in her beautiful 2 story townhome. She was forced to choose freedom, peace of mind, and her life. On the floor, she lay in tears as she concluded a phone call with her godmother and mother, where the advice she received was life saving, as she understood she was dealing with a very dangerous man. With the strength she could pull from her soul, she wiped the tears from her face and slowly stood from the carpeted floor. She grabbed the piece of paper with the number to the battered women's shelter her godmother provided and dialed the number slowly as the tears began to fall from her eyes again. The voice that answered on the other line stated they were full. As she hung up the phone, a plethora of thoughts rushed through her mind. Questions of doubt, fear, and a tsunami of emotion as she asked herself, can I really do this? What will I do next? Will we be okay? She rubbed her fingers across her face, wiping the last falling tears from her eyes, and dialed another battered women's shelter. The voice on the other line stated once again, I am sorry, but we are full. The rush of emotion began to build with even more anticipation now as she finally knew she needed to get out. She dialed another, and this time her persistence paid off. The answer was finally, yes, we have room for you and your son. Here is what you have to do. She wrote down all the instructions provided to her over the phone, and when she disconnected the call, she dropped to her knees in uncontrollable tears as she prayed to God, saying, I need you now. Her 1.5-year-old son walked into the room and touched her on her head and said, Mommy? At that moment, this voice is what made her come to herself and realize it was finally time. Time to make this permanent move despite the other 2 departures when she returned. Time to use whatever strength she had to stand up and start taking steps forward for their safety. It was time to stop crying and start moving. It was heartbreaking to look at her son in the eyes and say, Mommy needs you to help pack your books. As she knew he had many toys, but the most important items for entertainment she chose to take with them were his books. Her compliant toddler said, okay, and went to grab his Buzz Lightyear luggage. He started to load his favorite books into his luggage. She then looked at the little red tricycle which she had just purchased that he had yet to ride. She had to leave this. She had to leave his toys. She had to leave her beautiful kitchen and home she worked to keep for her family because it was now a choice between life and death. She then grabbed her 2 large suitcases, threw them on the bed, and began to fill them with their clothes. Once all their immediate belongings were packed into the suitcase, she ran a bath for her toddler. The water was filled with bubbles, and his rubber duckies floated in the water. She placed him into the tub and gave him his last bath inside their home. After getting him dressed and herself, she loaded the bags into the car waiting outside their home, looked at the house and the car they once shared together, locked both up, and drove away. She left it all behind, never to see 155 Farrington again. To hear how this story ended for the author and her son, purchase your copy today of Tip Your Cup on Amazon.com. This is dedicated to all survivors and those that have lost their lives to the hands of an intimate partner. If you are currently in this situation, call the domestic violence hotline today, but make sure you are not around your abuser.